The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to this webinar dedicated to our developers community. My name is Ludovic Leclerc. I'm part of Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise Product Marketing for our cloud solutions. Today with me for this webinar, Dries Elmalki, who is Director of our Developers Partner Program. Hello, Dries.
Hello, Ludovic.
And also with us, Olivier Angnot, who is our lead developer responsible of our Rainbow Cloud APIs and SDK. Hello, Olivier.
Hello, Ludovic.
So today this webinar is part of a series called Talk to Experts, aiming at providing to our developers community some tips and best practices on how to better use our APIs for cloud communications. As you may know, the previous episodes are available for you on our ALE YouTube channel for replay. So for today's webinar, all participants are muted. We invite you to send your questions via the webinar tool. There is a dedicated option to send your questions, and we will take all the questions at the end of this session to answer all the questions you may have. So I now leave the floor and the microphone to my colleague Dries.
Hello again, everyone, and thank you for being with us. My name is Dries Elmalki, in charge of CPaaS development and partner program. I am your interface for any feedback related to Rainbow API Hub. So you can reach me by email or by Rainbow. Please, today the objective is to share with you what we have as new things for CPaaS Rainbow APIs and also best practice. And the most important is to get your feedback so we can serve you better to improve our services globally and to answer positively to your need. So to move forward, I give the floor to Olivier Angnot, our expert for Rainbow. Olivier?
Okay, Dries. So welcome everybody, and thank you for attending this second webinar about Rainbow APIs and SDK ecosystem. I'm very happy to be here with you and to share with you our progresses on Rainbow APIs. So this webinar is the second episode of webinar saga. The goal is to help you understanding Rainbow and the way to build applications that use Rainbow APIs. So like in the previous webinar, I will speak mainly about three topics. First, a statute to explain where we stand on what has been done recently. In the second part, I will focus on several Rainbow concepts to give you the key element to know. And finally, I will show you some new elements that will come to you soon. To start, I will just introduce myself. So my name is Olivier Angnot. I work at Alcatel-Lucent and I lead the development of the Rainbow API Hub, our Rainbow platform for developers. So concretely, my team and me, we work on delivering all the material you need, including the APIs, the SDK, our starter kits, and sample on all the documentation and guides. And additionally to that, when you have questions, we support you through our dedicated forums. And for sure, if you encounter issues, we are here to fix them quickly. So today, in that webinar, I will cover several topics, such as bubble and channels. I will speak about the kind of application and the way to authenticate user in each, and some other topic. So a lot of things, I think, in that webinars. But before that, just one word on who should be happy to be there today. So first, this is mainly a webinar for developers because I will explain how to do things and I will speak about some technical aspects, the new APIs, the new cool feature we will bring to you, and you have already play with. And secondly, decision makers, because I will give you the opportunity to see what are the interests of moving to Rainbow APIs and how application based on Rainbow could save time to your end user or end customer and make them happier or more efficient. And finally, architects or IT people who want to know how secure Rainbow is and how it works, to be able to understand how data are managed and will be interconnected or mapped to their own existing data. So this webinar will address points that are in these three different areas. So let's go. So as I mentioned, I will make first a brief recap on where we stand today in terms of developers on application. And I will speak about the key elements that have been introduced recently. So my first word is thank you to you, because in the last few days, we reached the first symbolic threshold of having 1,000 users that have already signed a developer account in Rainbow Hub. And so that have discovered and used our Rainbow API on SDK. And more than that, each month, we continue to have more than 100 of new developers that sign a developer account. So you are a growing community that we take care and listen. And so please continue to share with us for sure your concern, but also your needs and your succeed. We would like to know more about you. And so please use our forum to express your thoughts. So regarding application, now we have more than 20 applications that have reached the 100,000 threshold of number of API call per month. And more than that, 6 are now over the million of API call per month. So your application consumes more and more API, which is good, a good sign that because your application are more and more user and more used by users. So if we totalize all the API calls, we are about 60 million of APIs that have been called during the last month. 70 million of API. And we have now more than 230 applications deployed on Rainbow that have generated approximately 20% of the traffic to Rainbow, and this number is growing month after month. Now, if we have a look to the last update, the first is about the Rainbow Hub. We did some change mainly around the graphical interface. First, we split the developer menu to 2 different environments because too many developers were lost between sandbox and production platform. So now you can't mix the two as they have 2 different colors and are separated. So it will be easier for you to know where you are working on the production platform and where you are working on the sandbox platform. Secondly, we completely redesigned the application configuration part in order to have a full page that lists all the application settings. This will allow us to add new ones soon without complexifying the user interface. And at least we did the same for the billing screen. And now you have the possibility to add any extra email addresses for receiving the invoices. We did another change impacting the developer journey in order to be fully compliant with local law in some countries, mainly in Europe. So now when a user wants to register a developer account, he needs to belong to a Rainbow company. If not, the Rainbow API Hub will force him to create one and to choose a country for his company. So it's not a big change, but it allows you to be more compliant to law. The second change is that when deploying an application using the pay-as-you-go offer, the developer needs to enter a value-added tax identification number if it belongs to a country where taxes can apply. Don't worry, if you don't see these fields, this is because you don't have to fill it. Internally, we will check this VAT number when it applies and refuse to deploy the application if it's not correct or if it's missing. Another check is done on server side to refuse to deploy any application if the credit card expires in the current month in order to avoid bank refusal. So to sum up the change regarding the developer's journey, you have still two options. So for those who want to use our platform as a service, the main change is that when applicable, you will need to add your value-added tax number. And for those who select the business offer, you need now to complete the business deployment request form before deploying your application. Soon you will be able to download it directly from the Rainbow Hub, and without this form, your deployment will be automatically declined. So the best when you want to deploy in business is to contact our sales representative. Regarding SDKs, we made the following progress. So the main point is that we have published the API in SDK to start an audio-video conference from a bubble and to be able to see up to 4 participants in video at the same time. So now any application can propose this service. So don't hesitate to share with us any issue or feedbacks to enhance this feature, because for us it's still in beta. On the SDK web, we added the possibility to track the progress of file uploaded or downloaded, as well as to be able to cancel any file transfer with Rainbow. And for those who want to play with the WebRTC pre-connection object, you have now access to it when you are in a peer-to-peer call. Regarding the SDK Node.js, we made a lot of progress on the robustness part. So we enhanced the internal state machine to handle better the disconnection and reconnection mechanism. And we added to the possibility to monitor and control the phone associated to the user from that SDK. This feature is also available on the Android SDK and will soon be ported to the iOS SDK. So that's all for the update regarding what has been done the last 2 months. Now I will make a deep dive into several Rainbow concepts that you have to understand in order to succeed in your application. And I will start by speaking about the channels. The first point to focus on today, like I said, is on channel. First, I will just recap what channel is before explaining the concern we have with channels. So first, channel are a way to send notification to a large number of users. So channels can be used in 2 different ways to let you embracing as many use cases as possible. So in one hand, we have the private channels that can be seen as a mailing list, because as the owner, you decide who will be part of the channel and so receive the notification. And in the other hand, public channel can be seen as a Twitter-like service. User can subscribe to any channels they find interesting in order to receive information from them. I wanted to focus on channels today because we consider that they are still in beta and so not at a stable level today. We are still working on it on both UCaaS side and CPaaS side, and so you may experience some breaking change in the coming release, mainly due to assume a full compatibility between CPaaS and Rainbow UCaaS application. So to be more concrete, we are adding the category and the content type to define if a specific CPaaS channel and the associated message can be or not displayed in the Rainbow UCaaS application. Because some of you use channel to send data notification and so not only user-friendly messages. So this channel should not be displayed in our Rainbow application. But 90% of the API are in place, so feel free to use this API from today and to give us your feedbacks. We already received some, thank you for that, but we did more to finalize this API, so thank you for that. The second point is about a new behavior that Bubble will inherit soon. So any existing or new bubble will move to state inactive after 60 days of inactivity, which means concretely that no message have been exchanged during the last 60 days. Be careful, inactive is not synonymous of archive. An inactive bubble could be seen as a paused bubble that can be at any time reactivated just by sending a new message. This concept has been done because user never archive bubbles, and so user keeps a lot of bubble and so have difficulties at the end to find the right one to use it. So regarding the CPaaS side, any SDK prior to version 1.53 will not take care about this state and so will reactivate any inactive bubble. Only SDK starting version 1.53 will manage inactive bubble correctly. So if you need that feature, I will recommend you to upgrade your SDK as soon as possible. The next point I want to focus today is about the compatibility of the Web SDK on mobile platform. We receive a lot of questions to know if the Web SDK can be used in a web application running on mobile iOS on Android. There are 2 points to take into account: how to make calls and how to be notified when the application is in background. What we can say today is, regarding pure web application, we do not encourage you to go in that way at this time, mainly because we are not yet compliant with the WebKit browser engine, and because you will not be able to receive push notification from Rainbow, which means you will not be able to detect any incoming call when your app is in background. So on iOS, it's clearly not possible today. On Android, due to the fact that you could keep a link with Rainbow even in background, you could build a web application that will consume a little bit more data on your phone battery, but it should work. If you want to improve that case, you can build an hybrid application to enable Apple and Google push notification. And as we are working on supporting the WebKit browser engine, it should work soon on iOS too. But globally, to be transparent, there is a lot of hybrid frameworks, but be careful, majority of them are only good to render static web page. Here we are speaking about real-time audio and video capabilities. So in our lab, we will not investigate on that track. So if you have good experiences with Rainbow using hybrid application, feel free to share with the community. Regarding ALE, we will choose to study progressive web apps, not as an alternative to hybrid application, but as a continuity of web application. We think that progressive web application could be the best solution if you want to build a web application with Rainbow on mobile in the future. the next point is how you can receive push notification in your iOS application when developing and when your application is on production. But before explaining why you need to use two Rainbow platform, I will explain how you need to proceed. Mainly, there are 4 steps. First, you need to get your certificate from Apple. Once you have them, you need to do some manipulations, like described in your documentation, to make them compliant with Rainbow. Concretely, you need to launch some command line. Once done, you need to upload them, and finally, to inform Rainbow to activate the push notification service when in background. So you need 2 platforms because depending on when you are developing your application on, or when you are publishing and using it on production, we will have plug our sandbox platform and our production platform to the right Apple system. So you need to use the sandbox platform when you are developing your application. So using the Rainbow CLI tool, you will be able to upload your certificate and test your application on the sandbox platform. Once it works, you can do the same with the Apple production certificate with the Rainbow Hub to upload your certificate on the Rainbow production platform. And be careful, don't forget, you have to do this manipulation twice, one for the VoIP certificate and one for the IAM certificate. Now, I want to come back to the previous webinar in order to complete what has been explained around the user authentication in Rainbow. To start from the beginning, the first things to know is the kind of application you are building. In fact, you are either building what we call a Rainbow sibling application, or you are building a Rainbow third-party application. A Rainbow sibling application is an application that uses UCaaS Rainbow credentials. For example, you install the Rainbow extension for Microsoft Teams. This application will ask you to log in using your Rainbow credentials in order to retrieve your Rainbow identity and to be able to send and receive information from your Rainbow account and profile. At the opposite, a Rainbow third-party application is an application where you already have an account and where you don't know that the infrastructure of this application will use Rainbow to propose some real-time service like chatting or having audio and video call. And the main things to know is depending on the application you are building, you need to authenticate the user differently. So this is the topic of the next slide. So first, regarding the third-party application. Just to remember, this is the application with an existing user authentication exists. Such, for example, as a fake example, when you are using your Uber application, when Uber asks you to log, you enter your Uber account. You don't know that internally Uber uses Rainbow to allow real-time audio video call between you and the driver. You just use and you just know Uber. So when you are building such application, you have already a backend that is responsible of the authentication process of your existing application. So first, on that backend, we recommend to store the secret key in order to never send this information to your front-end application. Secondly, as you don't have the secret key in your front-end application, your backend will log in on behalf of the user to get a token access on Rainbow. And finally, this backend will send back this token to the front-end application that will relay it to the SDK. So the SDK will be able to call any Rainbow services with that token. And the magic happens, you have securized your front-end application. The Rainbow token is renewed by the SDK automatically every 15 days. It can be renewed 7 times. After that period, either you display the login screen again, or you ask your backend to log the user again on the Rainbow side. This second slide is approximately the same, except that it manages the guest case. This is, for example, when an anonymous user visits your website and asks to call to an advisor. A guest account is used because the visitor of this log is not logged to your website, so in fact not logged to your application, and the interaction with Rainbow will be short and unique. So the only difference is that on your backend, you don't have to deal with the user authentication. You have just to create on the fly a Rainbow guest account to log in to Rainbow and give the token back to the front-end application. Globally, this is the same recommendation on use case. And finally, for the Rainbow sibling application, we are finalizing a secure way to allow Rainbow users to connect and use alternative application without compromising the user credential. So Rainbow will propose soon an OAuth-based authentication and authorization mechanism using a backend to first check the user credential from a secure screen that comes from Rainbow and no more from the application. So the application will no more have access to the user credential. And secondly, ask the user to authorize the application to access to the user identity and data. And only if the user accepts, a token will be received and will be used to access to Rainbow. In our Rainbow UCaaS application, you will have a new panel that will display the list of applications that have access to your identity and data in order for you to cancel this authorization at any time if you want. So we hope to deliver this new mechanism in Q2 with a full documentation to help you integrating this solution. So more information will be soon available on the Rainbow API Hub. The last point I want to cover on the focus part is just to make a brief recap on how you can help us by reporting any SDK or API issues. So first, you have 2 possibilities to contact us. Either using the forum in order to share your concern with other developers who could help, or if you are sure that it is a bug or crash by sending an email to our support team. Secondly, we will need 3 information. The context, which is the SDK use, the API use, some information about the platform, the operation done, and finally the result observed. Don't worry, this tab is available on the Rainbow Hub in the guide support and contribution. So that's all regarding the focus part. I think it's a lot of information to digest. So now I'll just share you with some information on the development in progress. So what is in our roadmap for the coming months. So regarding the Rainbow Hub, we have still in mind to propose a technical blog, but we need to have some article ready before publishing it. Additionally to that, we will add more services for developers, like the CPaaS mandate, the Rainbow service live status, and some API threshold to secure your development. Concerning our SDK, we are building a new SDK for native application dedicated to the Microsoft platform, such as Windows systems, the Xbox, and the HoloLens. We will share our first progress in the next webinar. And regarding the APIs, as mentioned, we are finalizing the OAuth authentication and authorization mechanism, And for server-side application, we are finalizing our server-to-server API that will let you build Rainbow backend application in any languages. So for all this topic, information will be soon published on our Rainbow API Hub. I just add this slide to give you an overview of the Rainbow service status, a page that will be landed shortly on the Rainbow Hub, normally in the next release. It will show you in real time the availability of our production platform in all over the world and of our developer sandbox. So if you encounter any trouble, first have a look to that page to know if it could be a platform level issues. That should save you time and allow you to open a ticket or an issue to our support. And the last slide is about a future change on our pay-as-you-go offer. So up to now, audio and video calls were invoiced just by counting any minute consumed. We will change this behavior by taking into account only the gigabyte relayed by our infrastructure, which means any data that comes through our turn server. So this change could happen in the second half, and at this time, the pricing can be communicated. But more information will be communicated soon on the Rainbow API Hub. So that's all for that presentation. So I hope you have enjoyed it on all the information shared. That will help you to build your application. So normally the next webinar will be planned in April, and you can submit any topics you would like to be addressed to Dries and Malky before middle of March. So don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Olivier. Maybe we can have a look now to the questions that have already been submitted by the participants. So there are a couple of questions. So I'm jumping to the last one that has just been submitted. The question is, could you please share the slides? So actually it's attached to the webinar session. So there is, you should see a dedicated handout section in your webinar interface. And here you can find the PowerPoint that has been used today, presented by Olivier. There is a first question from Dirk. Hello, Dirk. So unfortunately, just for you participating to this webinar, you cannot see the questions, but obviously we can see the questions. Don't worry. So we need to read the questions before answering. So I will read the first one from Dirk. So the question is, Node.js, could you document exactly how you provide more robustness in a state machine? Olivier?
In fact, the main development is internal. So we rework all that state machine to be able. The goal is that every 3 weeks there is an update of Rainbow, and all boats that are building on top of the SDK.Node.js should continue to work. So for some second, for example, disconnecting, and then should automatically reconnect once the platform is okay again. And so we work a lot on that part. So for developers, there is a few things that have been changed. We introduced a new state when the platform is in work connection, but mainly there is no external change on that. I can share, discuss more in detail with Dirk directly if he is interested to know more about that. But externally, there is not difference for developers.
Okay, and so is there any documentation related to this topic?
Not, we only document the new state we introduced to the SDK. So normally you should find this description on the Rainbow API Hub of the new state introduced.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. The next question regarding iOS push notification. Can we use an iOS dev key in Rainbow production?
If I understand right, no, iOS development key only works with our sandbox platform, and your Apple production key will work on our production platform. That's why if you want to debug your application, you need to be on the sandbox for testing push notification. Then if you introduce the production certificate from Apple, you can only test the result on our production platform.
Okay, great. Next question. Can we have an API call to get a token from Rainbow with a simple API without having to log in, log out?
In fact, as I mentioned, the part who deals with Rainbow to get the token should be done on server side. So we have an API to get a token from Rainbow, but in fact, it's the login API, so the authentication API from Rainbow. So if you call that API directly to Rainbow, you will get the token. So this part has to be done by the backend of your application. So you will have to call your backend to ask, give me a token to access Rainbow from my account. And so you will have it directly, and you can use that token in your front-end application directly. So, but you need at the moment you need to call Rainbow by using the Authenticate API to get this login, this token. Sorry.
Okay. I hope it's clear for Dirk who had asked the question. Next question, or it's more a comment. It's CPaaS question mark. So CPaaS stands for single euro payment area. So it's about how to pay the usage of the API. So maybe you can emphasize on that, Olivier.
Yeah, we are. The development is in progress, so normally should be available starting Q2 for any developers.
Okay. So there is another question from Alejandro. Hello, Alejandro. It's a long question, so I'll try to read it. Event to control when your Rainbow account is logged in other device is available, or is it plain?
I try to read the question.
So giving an example, so for example, you have a bot running 24 hours and someone steals your bot credential and use this credential to log in and monitor the information exchange with the bot remotely and in real time. Is it clear for you, Olivier?
Yeah, I will. And don't know if I will answer correctly, but when you are connected with a device, in fact, you know where you connect with another device because you receive the information presence of the new connection. So in fact, you know that you are connected twice or several times. So you can protect by writing some code for sure, but you can know if someone else is connecting with your account or not. So for just to complete in the SDK node for each contact, you have internally a structure that lists all the resources connected. So you should see another resources in that that map because each resource is identified uniquely. So this is not just the GID, this is the GID plus the resource. To be more to precise to complete, you can be connected 5 times at the maximum. The 6th resources will disconnect the first one. So at any time you can be connected using 5 different devices or 5 Rainbow web, but the 6th resource who connect will disconnect the first one.
Okay, so I hope it clarify for Alejandro. There is another question or comment from Alejandro in parallel. He precise, you know the number of devices resources when you connect, but if you are already connected, is it possible to have the event, or is it needed to check every X minutes?
No, normally you receive a presence event for each resources who connect, so you know if another resource connect, disconnect, or change its presence. So you have just to subscribe to this event, and you should receive the notifications.
Okay. I think that it will answer the question from Alejandro. If not, Alejandro, you can add your comments. Another question from Rafal. Hello, Rafal. When bubble recording will be available, how it can be done for now with CPaaS? So.
This feature is not only a CPaaS feature, because today it's not possible to record a Bubble call or WebRTC conference on Bubble. So as soon as this feature will be available on the UCaaS side, it will be available on the CPaaS side. But today I have no plan to share on that feature.
Okay, so it's still under study when and how it will be implemented. Clear. Next question from Oscar. Do you have support for hybrid mobile applications using Ionic framework?
So as I explained during the webinar, we have very few internally in R&D. We have very few experiences on hybrid applications. So and every day there is a new framework that comes. So we have no time to experiment on all that framework. So as I explained, if you have success using that kind of framework, you can share with us. We will have a look to be sure that it's okay. But at this time, we prefer to focus on a progressive web app and not to have a look to all hybrid frameworks that are available.
Okay, so do not hesitate to share your experience on such kind of framework, and we will see how to benefit from this kind of experience. Clear. Okay, next question. Possibility to add additional users in real time to already established WebRTC peer-to-peer audio and video.
At this time, no. Using Rainbow directly, no. The only way to do that is to transform the peer-to-peer into a bubble and to activate the SFU. If you are outside Rainbow completely developing a web application, it's possible, because in WebRTC you can't have up to 25 audio and video stream in the same peer-to-peer connection. So you could, but I think it should stay outside our Rainbow UCaaS application, because it will not be compliant on that point.
Okay, so either it starts as peer-to-peer and it stays peer-to-peer, or it starts inside the bubble context and it's multi-party.
Yeah.
Okay. clear. Okay, so next question related to previous question from Dirk, so it's okay. Next question.
So just to add a comment on that question of Dirk. So sometimes, effectively, if there is a long interruption of service of Rainbow, we have the SDK Node.js fire a specific event to the application part to explain that it tries to reconnect, but it fails. So we start after retrieving, I think, 50 times. I don't have the real number in mind, but after a number of tries, we stopped and we fire an event to the application layer to say, okay, it's not possible at this time to connect to Rainbow. Do something on your new layer, on the application layer, to alert or to do other things. But Rainbow is not available at this time. So we have an event for that.
Okay, thank you, Olivier. Next question from Michael. Hello, Michael. When we use external API like Google API to translate, how can we ensure that this shared data is not stored in their data center and used for other data analysis?
I think as soon as you are sending data to Google or another external platform to do something with your data, for sure data are in their DC. I don't know how long it is saved, but this is outside the scope of Rainbow. On Rainbow, we describe what we do with our data, how long we keep the data. For the other, I don't know, but for me,
I guess that we will find the same kind of terms and conditions
exactly.
in terms of use for Google or any other vendor API. So
yeah.
you can have a look at the Google's terms and conditions. Okay. Next question. Also from Michael. How can we use open data with our CPaaS approach? Are there any API? Do we have any running project? What is the view of CPaaS team to enrich Rainbow with open data? As we all know, data is the gold of the 21st century. So open data. What can we say about that?
Sorry, Michael, but I have no idea what are behind open data. I don't know if you are speaking about any kind of data that can be exchanged through Rainbow. Or is it something else?
Yeah, maybe I can suggest, but Michael can add a comment. But for me, open data, it's clearly open database, database of that are open to the public, coming from any institution, government, an administration, or anything. Or could be the data of a flight company about all the flight dates and things like that. So any I think it's what is.
For me, you have to think. A Rainbow can be used to generate data. It can be chat, can be notification, and that kind of data can rely on open specification or can be shared to everything because it's rely on JSON. It can be shared with any other open platform, and data coming from the other platform can be exchanged through Rainbow because we said that Rainbow can connect people and things. For sure, today. If I take an example of the IM, we are mainly exchanges user-friendly message. And this is another question that is in the list, but we are little by little adding if we can call that open data to each of our parts of our models of Rainbow. So you will be able to add open data to a conversation. You will be able to add open data to a user, to a bubble that already exists, perhaps soon to a channel, to a group. So little by little, we open that way to our model, but we need to be very secure on that, because if a user can make everything in Rainbow, and sometimes depending the vertical we address, so for example the healthcare, we need to be sure that data that are inside are correct and are legal.
Yeah.
But
So yeah. So once again, I think it can be related for me about what are the terms of usage of this kind of open data. But usually, when they are put available for the public, there is terms of usage associated to that. And second aspect, as you said, is of course this kind of open data can be used on top of the Rainbow services. Maybe the next question that could come is there any kind of have we implemented any kind of connector to standard connectors to open data or things like that?
I think we have some in progress around Zapier, around things like that, to receive data, exchange data, and notify. But any kind of model in Rainbow can be used in many ways, and be used to store any kind of data you want. So, as I said, we have little by little opened this way, but we need to take care on our UCaaS application. But because as soon as we open this way working, we are confronting by the way that developers are making application and want to use Rainbow in parallel or communicate to Rainbow, and our UCaaS application don't deal this kind of data. So that's why we progress little by little to be sure on, for example, on channels. The first case that has been done on channel was done to exchange JSON messages, JSON notification. And that has been a problem because our Rainbow UCaaS application displays that kind of message, which is not good. So we need to each time to do something, action on our UCaaS application to be sure that if we add open data, there are no impact on our UCaaS application.
Okay, thank you, Olivier. Next question from Dirk again. Can you send a message to a specific resource with, for example, the dedicated GID?
Normally, in Rainbow, we don't want that you do that. Because it will not be compliant with our Rainbow UCaaS application. Because we do all the things to manage the multi-devices. So normally you should address the messages to a GID, and all the resources connected will receive the message. But perhaps we could, for certain kind of application, add this option to specify a resource to address to make extra proposal or extra action. But be careful when using your UCaaS application, because you will have some trouble. You will receive the notification on iPhone or not on your web application, and we are chasing that kind of issue in our Rainbow UCaaS application. So we could add that kind of feature, but for a certain kind of applications that are not connected to our Rainbow UCaaS application.
Okay, so just to be clear, it's not the standard way. It's not how it works today with Rainbow, but possibly it could be added. It could be implemented if required. Okay, clear. Thank you. Another question from Sylvain. Are you expecting to offer attached data service?
Yeah, this is what I call open data. So attached data is a way to attach any kind of data to one of our Rainbow models. So for example, today you can attach extra data to any bubbles. For example, you can say that a bubble is a case, so you can add a number, you can add a date, you can add any extra information. So you have a JSON format that you can add to that bubble. You can do the same for a company. You can add extra data to any companies. And we plan to have the same for a lot of other structure, because we know that this can have a great interact in some vertical to add extra data to any conversation, to a channel, to a user. So this is in the roadmap, not yet implemented, and we hope to have some of them in Q2.
Okay, clear. Next question is from René. It's a quite long story written by René. Olivier, I don't know if you can see it and read it. It's about an application that seems that has been developed by René. Okay, so the question is around the billing option. So René is asking if billing fill the billing option and deploy to use the SDK in the future. Is it the right way to do?
Yeah, I will try to give some way we will move on the next month. We know that today we have only the pay-as-you-go offer on the business offer. So either you are a partner of Alcatel and you will have to go on the business way. So on that way, to deploy an application, you need to contact Dries or people in the sales team to discuss and to make a deal, and then you will be able to deploy your application. It's not automatic. On the other way, we have the pay-as-you-go offer, and as I mentioned, you use our API and SDK as a services. You enter your credit card and you pay if you are over the threshold of free API. But we will add soon other KPI, because we know that some partner wants to make demo and want to attract other developer or company. So we will add a KPI for that, so a way to deploy demos for 3 months, 6 months. So we will define the duration. We know that some of partner wants to make application that we call quote to cash, so that want to automatize the user creation and the billing. So for that, if a partner, we will have a specific KPI to offer to allow them to build free application, because for BP that are making such of kind of application, we API are free to use. And for example, for the student who want to learn computer science using Rainbow, we will have to offer free SDK API to enable them and to let them progress using Rainbow. So today we have only two offer, and we will introduce a new one soon. We are discussing to be sure that we target the right one. But with Dries and other people from the marketing and sales team, we are thinking of adding more of them, and to target developers, internal developer, VP developer, to let them deploy automatically their app as soon as they have been identified or as soon as they have signed some contract with us. So it should be more fluent the next months on that part.
Yeah, if I add one thing, as Olivier mentioned, that we have flexible model. So if you have specific case, just reach to me and we will manage.
Okay, clear. Thank you, Dries. Thank you, Olivier. There are questions or comments coming from Nestor concerning frameworks. So mentioning that he used Ionic Angular 7. I don't know if you have some comments on that, Olivier.
But I don't know if it is a question or if there is a trouble when using that kind of framework. But
Nestor mentioned that
web,
he has some errors, authentication error using Angular 7 and Connect SDK.
Yeah, but if we have some experimentation using Angular 7, so we could help. We know that framework and we are using it internally on some applications, so we could help. So don't hesitate. If you think that it's not a bug, but it's a trouble of using our SDK, feel free to put messages on our forum. We will help you. If we can't, because on Ionic we have no more experimentation of that, but on Angular 7 we can help. So feel free to put your message on our forum.
Thank you. Another question from Russ. Node.js, are you planning to add alarming capabilities to channels?
I don't know what are being alarming, but channels, I think we put in place the basic for channel. We know that there are some missing piece. We would like to comment. We would like to like in Facebook to put on or off so the basic are here. If you need more feature, feel free to share with us what you want, because perhaps it could be added easily to a roadmap to bring more feature to channels.
Okay. Another question from Oscar. Does progressive web app support WebRTC calls for voice and audio?
So to be clear, progressive web app are not yet compliant with Rainbow in the way that for using progressive web app to be able to receive a call, we need to integrate in the web SDK the way to receive push notification in the browser. So today, our SDK are not yet compliant to receive incoming call where the browser is closed or you are not in the white panel. So or in the background, you will not receive incoming call. So progressive web app can be used and are supported today in some of the browser, mainly Chrome. The progressive web app will rely, as any web application, on the WebRTC layer on stack that are inside the browser. So you will have no problem to do audio and video call using progressive web app in browsers that are supported by progressive web app. So it's not a problem of, I think, WebRTC, because Google and the other make a lot of progress of having WebRTC call more and more easier on this platform. It's only that we need to add push notification to our SDK web. So to do like in our SDK Android and iOS. And as soon as we will have this functionality, you will be able to make a progressive web app.
Okay, clear. Next question. Will you consider publishing a detailed roadmap for CPaaS updated frequently? So you have shared today, Olivier, you have provided some roadmap, product roadmap evolution information. There is also an official roadmap provided by Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise for all our products, including Rainbow and CPaaS. So
Yeah.
don't hesitate to contact and get in touch with your ALE local representative to get this kind of information. or we can share if you have specific needs. Do not hesitate to come back to us, either Olivier or Dries, if you have a specific requirement. Another question from Alejandro, following my question of escalate WebRTC peer-to-peer to conference, is it possible or will it be possible to call externally through media pillar to one bubble?
I think I don't be able to answer that question in that webinar, because it's a very technical question and I need to be sure to understand the case. So Alexandro, if you can share it externally to that meeting, I will be able to answer, but it's complicated for me to be sure to understand the case. Sorry.
Yeah, it clearly depends on what would be the implementation. So yeah, clear. So maybe please provide some additional information. Get in touch with either Olivier or Dries to describe what is the use case. Okay, clear. Another question: Do we still have a size limitation when adding custom data to a message or bubble?
So yes. So first, any message sent by our SDK is limited in size, and so custom data too. So I don't remember the size. I think perhaps it's 5 kilo of databyte, but I don't remember. But for sure, it's limited to avoid any extra usage or to store a movie, or you can't do that. You cannot do that. So you are limited to a JSON. I don't know if I think we do not limit in terms of number of key you can add, but in terms of size.
Okay, so it's a limitation by design, and we cannot bypass this kind of limitation. Is it correct understanding, or?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, clear. Another question: are you planning to upgrade the Angular version for Web SDK?
So today we still recommend to use the version 1.5.7, if I remember right, but we are compliant and you can use the latest 1.x version of Angular. So it should work. What we have in mind is to rework our SDK web to try to remove Angular from the SDK. So it's not a quick task, so it will take some months to do that, but the goal is to try to make an agnostic framework at the end. Okay. So this is the long-term goal, but today, if I say right, you can move to the latest Angular 1.x release. If it don't work, come to us because it's perhaps just some glue to fix. But for sure, you need at least to embed 1.x version of Angular.
Okay, clear. Another question: can you support multiple tier of company visibility? For example, schools have teachers, students, and parents. Public channel for these different groups would be useful.
Yeah, so I don't know if it is to be able to send specific messages to different groups inside the same channel, or if it's to add several channels depending different group of people. So today the first one doesn't exist. So if you send a message today, all the recipient will receive it inside the channel. So you can't specify groups doesn't exist inside a channel. And for the visibility, today we decide to not provide public visibility of channel in CPaaS to avoid different applications to find the same channels. So for example, if you are building your application, you don't want that user from another application see your channel and be able to subscribe to them. So today, channels are only visible inside your Rainbow company, so to your Rainbow users. So, but perhaps this kind of feature, if it's to separate inside the channel different group or target different people, perhaps we can think of having it at a time.
Okay, and anyway, as you said, the channel features around channel are still evolving, so
Yeah.
we can expect some evolution on that. Okay, perfect, clear. Okay, I think we have covered all the questions. If you have any other question, do not hesitate to share. It's the right time. No new question. If there is.
May just waiting for the questions. Perhaps I can add one thing coming soon.
Yes, please, of course.
Yeah. So what we are preparing to motivate also the companies that are developing more and more application within our platforms. We are preparing kind of partner program that to give visibility of this kind of application to our ecosystem of customers and traditional business partners, which means indirectly additional business. So by early Q2, we'll communicate to you as companies mainly, because the target is the companies, and to give visibility to the application you are developing. So based on specific criteria, but it will be some good opportunity to start working from now and moving from the sandbox to the real deployment of application to be candidate for this program. So it's a very critical point that I need to share with you. Second point that we already planning by earlier Q2, instead of sharing all these webinars through YouTube and so on, you will have one entry available within our API that you can reach all these webinars and other technical information on one point. So, and if you have any specific need or any specific point, as Olivier mentioned, to add in the next webinar, don't hesitate. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dries. That's yeah, clearly important and useful information for our developer community. In the meantime, we have one more question. I think it will be the last one from Alejandro. Number of active guests per company, 50. It's quite limited to offer an anonymous chat for a big customer. Is it plain to increase it?
Yes, it's just a number that we put to limit, to be sure when we first introduce guests that there is no other way to use it. But if we need to move in another to move forward or to make 100 or 200, feel free to ask us and we will try to see. But normally it's not a great problem to change this number.
Okay, good. Okay, I think that was the latest question. Okay. Comment from Alejandro. Thank you very much. Great session. Thank you very much, Alejandro. Thank you very much for your attention. I think we are finished with this session. Please stay connected for one more minute just to get into the survey. We have a short survey, a quick question to get your feedback in order to improve for the next session, and also get your suggestion for new topics. So stay connected. Thank you, Olivier. Thank you, Dries.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Fuel.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.